Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Symphony 21 and its board of directors, it is my pleasure to welcome you to tonight's event. Symphony 21 was founded in 2019 as a nonprofit professional orchestra with the goal of reducing barriers to classical music. And our plan for the season, for March 11th, was a very different program than what we are presenting here tonight. However, when the scale of atrocities in Ukraine became clear, our artistic director, Jalen Bate, wanted to do something to help. He reached out to the Ukrainian-Canadian community, in particular the Ukrainian-Canadian Congress and the Ukrainian Community Society of Ivan Franko, and with their support and encouragement, that an event like this would not only be meaningful, but also potentially impactful, Symphony 21 pivoted to the event that you see here tonight. 60+ musicians behind me who have donated their time and talents to offer a message of support and hopefully raise a significant amount of money for the Ukrainian community. We are grateful to all of them, as well as our community partners, because with their support, as well as Symphony 21's donation of resources, every single dollar collected here tonight, not just the proceeds, but every single dollar will go directly to the Canadian Red Cross Ukrainian Humanitarian Crisis Relief Fund. We would like to recognize by name the generosity of our community partners. In particular, St. Andrews-Wesley United Church, the Vancouver Musicians Association, the Vancouver Youth Symphony Orchestra, the Vancouver Academy of Music, St. James Square, and many others in our community who have donated resources and financial support to make tonight's event a success. A few housekeeping rules before we begin. Like you, we saw the change in the public health regulations just yesterday, and at the request of our venue as well as several players in our orchestra, we would request that you please keep your masks on for the duration of tonight's performance. We do welcome pictures, video, anything at all that you want to share to social media. You can find our social media hashtags on our website, symphony21.ca, and I encourage you to tweet the event #ConcertForUkraine, specifically because our live stream is up and running, and welcome to everyone joining us via our live stream, with the donation link live for those who are not able to join us tonight. If you are not able to donate at the door, the QR code for donations is available on your programs, and we are hoping to raise at least $20,000 tonight for the Red Cross. Looking at the size of the audience in front of me, I am very hopeful and optimistic we can reach this goal. With that, I would like to welcome to the stage Reverend Rianne Walker of the St. Andrews-Wesley United Church to say a few words.
Come. Good evening, everybody. I must say it is a tremendously hopeful sight to see all of you out here tonight, sending a message to the people of Ukraine that they are not forgotten. So my first thank you is to all of you for showing up tonight and for putting your hope in peace. And as Symphony 21 mentioned, if we can raise $20,000 tonight, wouldn't that be a tremendous sign to the people that they are not forgotten and that they're being held in our hearts and that the world is watching? I want to thank Symphony 21 for in 2 weeks managing to pull together such a beautiful program. So thank you to all of the musicians here tonight who've donated their time and their talent. Friends, it is these small gestures that can keep hope alive in all of us. And this is where the power of humanity and love can show up. Finally, I don't want us to forget where we're gathered. This church, just like all land in Canada, is part of the traditional and unceded territories of Indigenous people, in this case, the Squamish, the Musqueam, and the Tsleil-Waututh. And so if we are Canadian settlers, then we too have our work to do around peace and reconciliation, which involves listening, changing, building relationships, and reparations. So always I invite us to that work too. Tonight, let your heart be filled with hope. Thank you.
I would now like to welcome, on behalf of the Ukrainian-Canadian Congress, President Irina Shiroka and Vice President Yulia Shokoluk to say a few words on behalf of their community.
Thank you. Thank you for coming here and being here with us today. It's a big honor for me to speak in front of so many people with big hearts. I couldn't tell you what date it is today, but I know that today is the 16th day of war since Russia invaded Ukraine. The war that the people in Ukraine didn't call for, the war that we didn't deserve. All we wanted was live free and continue developing our democratic, independent, and beautiful country. But tonight, as we speak, Ukrainian cities are being bombarded. Residential buildings, hospitals, and childcares are being struck by the shelling, and people are being killed. This conflict mobilized Ukrainians all over the world and gave us a feeling of a great truth. In Vancouver, we've received a tremendous support from local communities all over the place, selflessly offering help. What keeps us going is people like you and organizations like Symphony 21. With your support, we are able to continue to help the people in Ukraine by shipping medical and military non-lethal supplies. We are also working on some programs for temporarily displaced Ukrainians, soon to arrive in Vancouver. There is never enough gratitude to express to those who selflessly help innocent people affected by war. On behalf of all Ukrainians in the world, I would love to thank you for all your support and continuous help. Thank you so much.
As a Ukrainian, I'm very proud of the strength and resilience shown by Ukrainian people. As a Canadian, I'm very proud and moved by the compassion, generosity, unity, and willingness to help showcased by us Canadians, by our partners, allies from all ethnic communities and all walks of life. Each and every single one of us here today is doing their part, small or big. Seeing the audience come together in solidarity with Ukraine is truly inspiring. On behalf of Ukrainian-Canadian Congress and all the people of Ukraine, we'd like to express our deepest gratitude to Symphony 21, to all of the organizers, all of the volunteers for their inspiring ideas, time, dedication, and willingness to help. Our sincerest gratitude goes to all of the musicians who have donated their precious time to come and perform for us. But most of all, we would like to thank our guests, our benefactors, our donors, and each and every one of you present here today. Through your donations, we will be able to accomplish a lot of amazing and great things in Ukraine. By sending aid, we are literally able to save lives. You truly make a difference, and we're extremely, extremely grateful. From the sincerest parts of our hearts and the hearts of all Ukrainian people affected by war, дякуємо. Слава Україні, героям слава. Glory to Ukraine, glory to its heroes.
We are also fortunate to have several elected officials from various branches of government join us here tonight. I would like to recognize Councillor Wiebe, Deputy Mayor of Vancouver, as well as MLA Henry Yao of Richmond South Centre, as well as Langley Mayor, thank you for coming. As well as Langley Mayor Val Vandenbroek, who has offered to say a few words as a member, both as an elected official and as a member of the Ukrainian-Canadian community.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mayor Val Vandenbroek from Langley City. You'll never guess what my maiden name is. Swirdyak. I'm a good Ukrainian girl. My real name, though, and I really want everyone to really think about this. My real name is Valeria. It is a Russian name. It is a Ukrainian name. Because Valerie is a male name, Valeria is a female name. Now imagine back in the 80s being in school and having a name like that when the Cold War was going on. I was always ashamed to be Ukrainian. And of course, we know most Ukrainians have nicknames, and there's a reason for that. And we need to stop doing that. We need to be proud of our names, and each and every one of us needs to be proud of our culture. Plain and simple. So that is why I am here tonight. This is very important to me. I feel like my heart has been ripped out and my stomach has been punched. This isn't a war. This is a genocide. Plain and simple. The Ukrainian people did not ask for this. We know Putin has been for many years planning this. And every minute that we wait to help the people in Ukraine, the women, the children, and the men, more people are dying right now as we sit here tonight. And it is just not right. So I ask you, first off, I want to say thank you all for being here because it is important. I have relatives in the Ukraine that I have not heard from in weeks. I don't know if they're alive. I don't know if they've made it to the border. And I have family all over Ukraine, from Odessa to Chernobyl to Kiev. And I know how I feel. I can't imagine how they feel, not asking for this, living peacefully, trying to build their country, trying to live like you and me. And this is what it comes down to, democracy. What do we all do on November 11th? We go to a cenotaph to say to previous soldiers and previous people in war, we thank them for living the way we live, for being able to walk through that door and choose what our religion is and what we want to do. Putin is a dictator, plain and simple, and should be arrested for war crimes. So I ask that you all speak up and speak out and tell your local government to get going on this and help Ukraine. So please, please do something. This is doing something, this is supporting, but we need to get people over here. We need to get people safe. We shouldn't be allowing to have babies in bomb shelters and then having the bomb shelters bombed out. That's a war crime as far as I'm concerned. So again, please speak up and speak out. Contact your local MLAs, your local MPs. You know, we've got planes ready to go with medical supplies and to bring people back. 3 weeks later, the federal government has still not green-lighted us. We could have had people over here by now, had them set up in homes, and had their kids in school by now. So again, I ask you, I'm glad you're here to show your support, and I can't thank you enough, but please do more and speak up and speak out. That's the best thing you can do. So thank you very much for having me here tonight, and thank you for all the organizers and all you folks in the Symphony. This is absolutely amazing, and this is what community is about, and this is my heart. I feel this is Canada, and this is what we do. It doesn't matter what race, gender, wherever you're from, we come together, and together we're stronger. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, for that very heartfelt reminder of what we need to do in terms of collective action. Without further ado, I would like to turn the stage over to the Artistic Director of Symphony 21, Jalem Bate, to open the program.
Please rise for the Ukrainian national anthem. I'll keep my remarks brief because there's not much else I can say after hearing from members of the community that are directly affected from this. This idea came to me. I walk my dog past the Ukrainian community of Ivan Franko every day. I live 5 minutes away from there. And for 10 years of my life walking past it, it never struck me in the same way that it's obviously struck me in the last 14 days. Considering my role as an orchestral musician and the musicians that I'm leading tonight in this performance, Classical music has a tradition, it has a long-standing history that is interweaved with the people, the culture, the geography that is currently part of this conflict. As a result, I thought it was very appropriate to put on an orchestral concert, considering that much of what you hear tonight can directly be traced back with regards to its lineage to the people that are currently at war in Ukraine. Our next piece is Fanfare for the Common Man by Aaron Copland. When Gustav Holst composed The Planets, which is a staple of the orchestral repertoire, he composed 8 movements and gave each planet a character, the bringer of war, a magician, and in the case of Venus, the bringer of peace. In choosing this work for this program, I felt it interesting how a composer in the earlier 20th century, which certainly was no stranger to war in his own time, found room in our solar system for a planet dedicated wholly to the bringing of peace. As we heard tonight, voices of the people in Ukraine and in the Ukrainian Canadian community need amplification, and live music has traditionally been a lightning rod for communities to come together, to produce aid, to rally around an event, and better the community. As the community grows and benefits from the aid that we hopefully raise here tonight, we're reminded that the cumulative voice of Ukraine is made up of much smaller ones. This next piece is Adagio for Strings by Samuel Barber, which is traditionally performed in times of great tragedy and sorrow. This piece was programmed because it is just for the strings and is incredibly delicate, and each delicate string voice together in unison, contributing to one voice of music, creates a piece that hopefully touches your heart and soul and reminds us of the need to lift every single small voice to make the larger one all that much better. One thing I've learned over the course of programming this concert, I've learned a tremendous amount about Ukrainian culture as it pertains to art and music, but also about what type of people they are. When this started, I started programming pieces that were all about peace, calm, humanity. And as I spoke more to members of the Congress, to members of the community of Ivan Franko, and to just members at large of the Ukrainian Canadian community, I started to pick up on themes that are very important of resilience, of resistance, of fighting back. And I think we see that in the news cycles that come on every night at 6 p.m. So I added this work by Franz Liszt. Liszt was what we call a romantic composer and wrote lots of music that told stories. The story behind this one has to do specifically with a piece of Ukrainian folklore. I'll tone down my brief synopsis of it because it does have moments that may make some of our audience members feel uncomfortable. But the gist of it is that a Ukrainian peasant falls in love with a Russian prince. The prince and his court do not like this, so they punish this Ukrainian peasant that's fallen in love. He's in prison, he's being tortured, until one day he hears the regal sounds of Ukrainian cavalry coming to rescue him. So this is Mazepa Ukraini by Franz Liszt. Thank you very much. I think the fighting spirit evoked in that piece is all the more relevant nowadays. I'd like to invite Taryn Plater, who is a Ukrainian-Canadian opera singer. As I said, programming this concert, I learned a tremendous amount about Ukrainian art, music, and I realized that a big component of Ukrainian musical culture is song. I'm not a singer. I do best when my back is turned to the audience. So I invited Taryn Plater, who, as I said, is a Ukrainian-Canadian opera singer, to sing you 3 short Ukrainian art songs, and she will introduce them herself. Taryn.
Hello. So today, Derek Stanier, behind the piano, and I are going to be performing 3 Ukrainian art songs. The first is a piece by Lysenko. My connection to Ukrainian culture when I was growing up was mostly through Ukrainian dance. My brother and I spent many evenings and weekends at rehearsal and competitions, and now I think of myself a lot more as a singer than as a dancer. So this piece really speaks to me because it's about wanting to join the dance, but not quite being able to. About 2 years ago, I realized that through all of my studies, I hadn't really come across any pieces by Ukrainian composers in Ukrainian. So I decided to look for some. I didn't have to look too far, thanks to the Ukrainian Art Song Project, which is a Canadian project to make Ukrainian art song a lot more accessible to musicians. But I wouldn't have found that repertoire if I hadn't been looking for it. So I want to share with you one of, I think, both of our favorite pieces that we've come across in the Ukrainian art song repertoire. This is by Vasyl Barvinsky, and it's called The Witness. It's about both the tragedies and, tears and strife that have happened in Ukraine over its long history, as well as the strength of Ukrainian people. Thank you. Our final piece here is, it's called The Orphan. It's also by Lysenko, and it's about this idea that you can't be an orphan if you have, even if you don't have any kin or direct relations, you can't be an orphan if you have a connection to your culture and to your people, because they become your family. And I think we've seen that a lot over these last 2 weeks with, you know, Canadians, Ukrainians in Ukraine and all over the world really coming together. And then everyone else also coming together. I think we've seen that power of community, so I wanted to end with this.
We have one final major work for you tonight. Before I introduce that piece, I just want to say or reiterate a few thank yous. First and foremost, to the musicians sitting behind me. This whole idea of a concert was conceived in 12 days, and it has been a mad dash on our administrative end, but I also so deeply appreciate every single musician who has come together, donated their time, donated their talent to a concert on an extremely short timeline, which I think for many is record-breaking from taking the concert to now. So. I'd also like to reiterate my sincere thank you to the Vancouver Musicians Association, to the Vancouver Academy of Music, to St. James Community Square, the Vancouver Youth Symphony, the Canadian Red Cross, the Canadian Music Centre, St. Andrews-Wesley United Church, and all of our community partners that have come together to make this evening possible. Everyone has donated their time and resources in full, which, as we said, every dollar is going towards the cause. So a round of applause for them, please. Finally, please do consider, after the concert, taking out your program, scanning the QR code, seeing one of our volunteers at the door if you would like to make a cash donation, using the QR code if you want to make a donation using your credit card or debit card. Consider helping us reach our goal of $20,000 for tonight so that we can immediately send aid to the people of Ukraine. Please do feel free to take some pictures after the end of our concert. We want to amplify this message as much as possible using the hashtag Concert for Ukraine, hashtag Symphony 21 Orchestra. And encourage your friends to donate to the same link in that QR code because it will be active for a few days. And even beyond that at the Red Cross, or in general at the redcross.ca, or at any other avenue, organization, or charity that is sending direct aid to Ukraine. Thank you very much for coming. Our final piece tonight is Beethoven's 7th Symphony. This symphony was premiered in 1813 for wounded soldiers and displaced civilians of another war, this from the Sixth Coalition of the Napoleonic era. There's something about Beethoven's music that critics, musicians, conductors always say is timeless. It's hard to put your finger on it, but I think when viewed through the lens of a premier concert directly aimed at wounded soldiers and displaced citizens, timeless Beethoven takes on an even more meaningful place in the orchestral repertoire and certainly in all of our hearts. So thank you again for coming. Beethoven's Symphony No. 7. you.